A 2020 tweet by the author of the world-changing, best-selling series Harry Potter had fans around the globe reeling due to the seemingly transphobic undertones of her comments. Younger millennials, the primary consumers of J.K. Rowling's work, were not having it. So what's the whole story? How did a woman once so widely loved for her invaluable contribution to the literary world become this hated overnight? It all started with a tweet. On June 6, 2020, J.K. Rowling tweeted an op-ed piece titled, "Creating a More Equal Post-COVID-19 World for People Who Menstruate." Taking issues with the fact that the story steered clear of the word woman, her tweet read, "People who menstruate. I'm sure there used to be a word for those people. Someone help me out. Wumban? Wimpund? Woman?" The initial tweet received a ton of backlash, but the author didn't hold back. She went on to justify her position, stating that if isn't real, there's no same attraction, and the lived reality of women globally is erased. She talked about knowing and loving trans people, but asserted that erasing the concept of sex removed the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. Rowling didn't stop there. She continued to talk about the idea that how women like her, who have been empathetic to trans people for years, hate trans people because they think is real and have lived consequences is complete nonsense. Also, the famous writer added that she fully respected every trans individual's right to live the way they felt authentic and comfortable to them, but simultaneously felt that since her life was shaped by being female, she didn't believe that it should be hateful to speak up about that. She only made matters worse by later publishing a post and tweet titled "TERF Wars." TERF is an acronym that stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist. Rowling's published article talked about Maya Forstater, a tax specialist who had lost her job for what was taken to be transphobic tweets. She took her case to an employment tribunal, turning to the judge for a ruling on whether a philosophical belief that is determined by biology is protected by the law. The judge ruled that it wasn't. It's easy to see what Rowling was trying to do here. She clearly felt that Forstater's experience echoed her own and was trying to defend herself against the onslaught of hate from the trans community and trans activists. Probably not the smartest move. At this point, not even the stars of her own franchise could back her up anymore. Daniel Radcliffe, the guy who played Harry Potter himself, joined the cause, showing his support with the post responding to Rowling's comments on the website of the Trevor Project. He wrote, "Transgender women are women," and disregarded any statement to the contrary, stating that he believed that would erase the identity of transgender individuals and went against expertise coming from healthcare professionals. Radcliffe is someone who has worked with the Trevor Project, a nonprofit organization focused on preventing suicide among LGBTQ+ youth. In his article, he spoke directly to everyone who feels targeted by Rowling's comments, writing that if the author's books had taught them that love is the strongest thing in the universe, that there is strength in diversity, and that dogmatic ideas of pureness, like the ones Rowling seemed to promote, only led to the further oppression of vulnerable communities, then that was something they should hold close to their hearts. Essentially, he told distraught Harry Potter fans that if they had found anything in the stories that resonated with them and gave them strength, then that was and would remain to be sacred to them forever. While Radcliffe owes Rowling for kickstarting his career and its progression since then, he says that he feels more of a responsibility to his beliefs as a human being. As a strong advocate for equality and as being so closely associated with the Trevor Project, he commented that he couldn't stay silent on the matter. At the same time, he refused to play into what the media was portraying as infighting between him and Rowling, stating that was not what he believed the news should be focusing on. 2 years later, Radcliffe still stands by what he said. He says that he felt as though he needed to say something when he did in 2020, because especially since he had closed the chapter on The Boy Who Lived, Radcliffe had come across hundreds of queer and trans kids and young among who identified with the series and different characters in the series. He said that he saw how hurt they were by the 57-year-old author's remarks. That was what made him realize the importance of making them understand that everybody in the franchise certainly did not share Joe's sentiments. Here's what some of his castmates had to say about the whole debacle. Rupert Grint, the actor who plays Ronald Weasley in the film, stood firmly in support of the trans community, stating that trans women are women, trans men are men. We should all be entitled to live with love and without judgment. He later stood by his decision to speak up, stating that sometimes silence is even louder, especially when it comes to supporting the more vulnerable communities. At the same time, though, Grint says that he still deeply respects Rowling, even if he may not agree with everything she says and believes. It's not surprising to hear that Emma Watson, the actor who plays Hermione Granger in the series, also took to social media to clarify that she didn't stand in alignment with Rowling's beliefs. She's been an advocate for the LGBTQ+ community for a while now and an active member of various alliances to support their rights, so it made sense for her to speak up regarding the matter. Watson concluded her statement at the time by revealing that she had donated to Mermaids, a British charity and advocacy organization for the protection and support of gender variant and transgender youth, and encouraged others to do their part as well. Tom Felton, the actor who played Draco Malfoy, stood in solidarity with the Golden Trio, stating that he was strictly pro-choice, pro-discussion, pro-human rights, and pro-love. He also revealed to followers that while Rowling may have been the founder of the beloved series, she did not have much of a role to play in the filmmaking process. Bonnie Wright, who played Harry's love interest, Ginny Weasley, Eddie Redmayne, who played Newt Scamander in Fantastic Beasts, and the Warner Brothers Studios all stood in support of trans rights and against Rowling's comments and her evidently anti-trans ideologies. But there were others who seemed to be more on the fence. The late Robbie Coltrane, who played Hagrid, for example, was one of the few actors from the franchise to back the author of the series. He didn't really believe that her comments came from a place of malice and pointed toward a whole Twitter generation of people who hang around waiting to be offended. All in all, he didn't want much to do with this story. Another actor from the series, Ralph Fiennes, Voldemort, defended Rowling in an interview with the New York Times, calling the abuse being hurled at the author disgusting and appalling. He said that he understood the anger being directed at her, but disagreed with her being painted as some obscene, uber right-wing fascist. Many celebrities outside of the franchise got involved too. Some celebrities like Dave Chappelle and Eddie Izzard came to Rowling's defense. Still others like Pete Davidson, who even has a Harry Potter tattoo, discussed the controversy in an episode of SNL, joking that he longed for when the worst thing Rowling did was make the Fantastic Beasts movies. No discrimination there, those films harmed us all equally. But what probably hurt most was Rowling's personal literary idol Stephen King, tweeting, "Yes, trans women are women," in response to a tweet asking him to take a position on the matter. Rowling even ended up blocking the horror writer. But it seems like no amount of backlash is going to get Miss Rowling to stand down. Just recently, she doubled, even tripled down on her previous comments, this time in regards to the proposed amendments of the Gender Recognition Reform Bill in Scotland, which made the news just a few days before International Women's Day. According to the proposal, there was going to be a planned reform of gender laws to make it easier for people to legally change their gender and self-identity on legal documents. The age limit for gender recognition was also to be reduced from 18 to 16. Rowling took to Twitter once again, citing what she claimed to be evidence from multiple women's groups about the downsides of the legislation for women and girls. At the same time, she also retweeted the 2018 conviction of a trans woman who allegedly attempted to rape a 10-year-old girl, calling it a parody. There's obviously a lot more to be said on this topic, and countless arguments to be made from both sides. But that's all we have for you guys today. Do you think Rowling deserves the backlash she's been getting? Do her comments at all change the way you view her work? Let us know all your thoughts in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, share, and hit the subscribe button for more content like this.